My name is Jonathan Hinley. I will be talking to you all about my career field in aviation and the role of communication in aviation. Okay, there we go. All right. So, on average, in the world, there are 87,000 commercial flights a day. Now, commercial can go from anywhere from a private jet carrying Michael Jackson, or it can go from Delta Airlines, a trip 777 flying across the ocean. So, my I was born into an aviation family. My stepdad's a pilot, my dad's a pilot, and my grandpa's a pilot and owns his flight school. So I was kind of born into it and I had no choice. I started to learn when I was 16 how to fly, but I kind of I didn't think that it was for me because I thought I wanted to sit in an office all day long. So I went to the University of Oklahoma for my freshman year and wasted $37,000. Um, Now, I'm sure most of y'all have flown in your lifetime, whether it was a little plane or a big Airbus flying across the ocean. If you've ever wondered about how to become an airline pilot or what training it consists of, you'll know after this presentation. First, we will talk about why I chose to go to the airlines. Secondly, we'll talk about how to get there. And third, we will talk about what it is like when you get there and what the daily life of a pilot consists of. So first, let's look at why I chose to go to the airlines. I decided that I wanted to go to the airlines because I really enjoyed flying and I wanted to do something that I enjoy doing. I don't want to have to dread going to work every morning and all that. So I figured I might as well have the most fun I can. And I also didn't want to be the kid in the family who ruins the family tradition. So I had to keep going. So as I said earlier, I went to OU my freshman year. And I did that because I figured that I wanted to be like every other person in the world and go get a business degree. But then I met my friend there who was in their aviation school, and it really made me wonder what I was doing and why I was doing it. So then I decided I was going to go to learn how to fly. So I went to North Carolina and I started my training there, and now I'm back in Texas. So another reason I want to go to the airlines is because there's a huge pilot shortage right now. Over the last 6 years, airlines have had to lose over the last 6 years, airlines have had to lose on average 3,000 pilots a year, which is a lot of pilots. That's like a straight shot to make it to the airlines right there. So it's prime time to jump in, so I'm not going to pass on this opportunity and I'm going to make my way there. Now, let's look at how to get to the airlines. Alright, so you got to have 5 ratings to become an airline pilot. You got to have your private pilot, which is to where I can fly in a little plane and I can go flying with people if I want to. But I cannot fly in the clouds, I can't fly in anything besides sunny weather. So the next step is to get your instrument rating, which is what allows you to fly in the clouds. It's what allows you to do basically anything, fly in snowstorms, fly in whatever. After that, you have to go and get your commercial license, which is allowing you to carry passengers. So once you get your commercial license, you're allowed to carry passengers up to 50 miles. But if you get your instrument rating and you have your commercial license, you can fly however long you want. You can fly a bajillion miles if you really want to. So I went to get my private pilot with my grandpa at his flight school. I'm now at ATP, which is a flight school where they breed pilots essentially. What normally takes about 4 years to become a pilot, it takes them 1 year to get everything done. So it's a very busy and you're always there type of thing. I'm currently working on my instrument rating, which is really fun because I'm able to fly in the clouds a lot. So once you graduate flight school, you're not quite there yet. You'll graduate with about 400 hours, and then you have the chance to become a flight instructor, which allows you to get your 1,500 hours that's required to become an airline pilot. So you got to get 1,100 hours even after you graduate. So the 1,500 hours is the line. Most people nowadays are signing with an airline before they even get the 1,500 hours, because airlines are offering so much money to have people promise to work for them. So finally, let's look at what it's like when you're an airline pilot and what the daily life consists of and how important communication really is in this airline. So to be completely honest, communication in aviation is everything. Anybody can learn how to fly. It might take a lot more time than some people, but you can learn how to fly. Now, there's situations that you have to adapt to and such, and that's why a plane, you can't just throw it up with passengers and without pilots, because there's so many different things that can happen. So you start off flying little connection flights for subsidiary airlines, which is, so you have American Airlines and Delta. Those are the main airlines, but to get there you have to start at one of their regionals. So you go there and they guarantee you after 5.5 years you can walk into American Airlines, no interview, and they'll transfer you. So after 2 years on that regional airline, you become a captain, which is where you're sitting in the left seat and you are in control of everything. What do pilots do when y'all are all sleeping in the back of the plane? I'll tell you. So it takes a lot to get off the ground, especially at these busy airports. You have to get clearances to where you're flying. You got to get clearances to taxi. You got to wait for takeoff. You got to wait for room to take off. And it's just a constant motion at these busy airports. So you got to, and there's also a whole bunch of math involved. You got to calculate weight and balance. You got to calculate fuel requirements. You got to calculate all of this stuff. So if you're ever in an empty flight and they ask you to move, just move and be nice. It's a lot of work for the pilots to recalculate stuff. So planes are getting smarter and smarter each day, but it will still need a pilot, as I said earlier, because there are so many different situations that can happen, and you can't just go program a robot and say, if this happens, do this, because there's endless possibilities of what can happen and what can go wrong. So communication is what keeps everybody safe while they're flying. It's what helps you not run into other planes. It's what helps you do everything. Communication is the biggest part of aviation, and it's also hard because you have all these different air traffic controllers who speak really fast. Some of them are from other countries, so it's hard to understand their accent. So there's a lot of barriers in between it. But the main thing I have to remember is not to be nervous. They're all there to help us fly. So they're really working for us. So if I have a question, you just ask. A lot of people are very intimidated by them just because they talk so fast and they know what they're doing. So it takes a while to get used to it, but you do. The air traffic control is in charge of everything when you get in the air. They'll tell you where to fly, how fast you need to go, what altitude you need to be at, which is how high and how low. They tell you everything. So you just got to sit there and listen. And the diversity is a huge role in it because it takes a while to get adjusted to that and see how and be able to learn how to understand all these different accents. So, in conclusion, there's a lot to being a pilot, and it takes a while to get there. We talked about why I chose this route, how to get to be an airline pilot, and what it's like being one, and how important communications are in the airlines. So next time you fly with an airline, I hope you understand how hard it is, so if your flight gets delayed, just don't complain. All it does is stresses other people out. And that is a brief showing of how 8,700 flights in the U.S. get operated each day. Thank you.